Welcome to Nightly News. I'm Hadley Robbins. Our top story tonight, Furman recently celebrated Joseph Vaughn Day. Joseph Allen Vaughn, a Greenville, South Carolina native, integrated and enrolled at Furman in January 1965, becoming the first African-American student to attend the university. He was an English major, a trailblazer, and a man of courage.
Over the past few months, we have seen a construction of the Joseph Vaughn Plaza at the library, where the school plans to mount a statue of him in his honor. The statue will be placed in the plaza in the area of the library where he took his first walk from Furman Hall to James B. Duke Library. A picture you usually see when we're talking about Joseph Vaughn Day. I interviewed Adair Smith, class of 2020, the curator of Joseph Vaughn Day, to get their thoughts and opinions on Joseph Vaughn Day, where I asked them what and why did they curate this day.
I would just remember every time I would go to the CFC, like if the door was closed, that's when you would be able to see like the Joseph Vaughn plaque. And so there was a plaque like in the very back of Trone where the CIC is, that said, recognizing Joseph Vaughn, the first African-American student to come to Furman's campus as an undergraduate. And I just remember seeing that and being like, wow. So they just gonna folks just gonna leave this plaque in the back of the building and not talk about it.
Joseph Vaughn and his legacy will not be long forgotten, from having a day created in his honor to a classmate and very good friend of his college experiences from their glory days at Furman. Councilwoman Lillian Brock Furman, class of 1971, talks so highly of Vaughn and her memories of him.
He's very vocal. If he had to recite a poem, it didn't bother him to stand on the desk to get the students' attention, because the idea was for them to learn. And those students to this day still remember Mr. Vaughn. He was also very adamant about the neighborhood that we lived in. He worked in the community to try to better the community where he lived, and he would be very proud to see where his home was at that time today, and some of the changes to the area.
Though we celebrated Joseph Vaughn Day, we didn't get to see the unveiling of the new statue due to COVID restrictions. The university says as soon as those restrictions are lifted, a date will be set for unveiling. Coming up, we have a virtual lecture by Dr. Inabinit on university legacies and a painting night. Be sure to check out all of the Black History Month events happening at Furman on the SLBC Instagram. In a time like no other on campus, here at Furman, Mike DeRosa wanted to find out more info about the low to no contact protocols set in place for our community.
Yes, Hadley. I talked to the Dean of Students and Vice President of Student Life to find out more about the decision to open up campus fully remote and pause up to 4 people for the first week of the semester. Over the following weeks, we have seen signs of improvement in a return to normalcy through an expansion of pods and successful in-person classes, while the amount of positive COVID-19 test results are what they were expected. I interviewed Jason Cassidy, who has a huge role in deciding the testing protocols for the Furman community. Let's listen in here.
And our plan is to get back to where we were in the fall semester at a minimum. As we started at the semester, you guys know we went with probably the most restrictive operations that we did all year so far in the first 2 weeks. Symptomatic testing was about twice as much as last week. Probably in September and October, we had a lot of weeks that would have fallen in the purple phase. And that's really what we're striving to get to. We're not going to be in green until people have vaccinations.
We see that student cooperation is very important in addition to the current color status of COVID cases in Greenville County. This is Mike DeRosa reporting from Furman Nightly News. Back to Hadley.
Here are the current COVID case numbers from this past week. There were 831 tests, as 50% of students were tested at random. Results showed that there were 23 positive tests, leaving a 1.8% positivity rate. Results were given by the Earl Student Health Center. With an increase in the unemployment rate and decrease in job opportunities, seniors across the country have been going through a very different job search due to COVID-19. Seniors at Furman University remain optimistic about post-grad life with the help of the Malone Center for Career Engagement. I sat down with a few people, and here's what they had to say about their experience of looking for a job during a world pandemic.
Lauren Payne is the director of the Malone Center for Career Engagement. She gave me some insight as to what exactly the Malone Center does for students.
We primarily do three things here at the Malone Center. We help students, one, explore their career path, two, prepare for meaningful careers, and three, we help students connect with both employers and graduate programs. COVID has definitely impacted the job market. We've definitely seen cuts to certain industries that have been hard hit by the pandemic.
Gracie Bradley is a senior at Furman who has gone through the ups and downs of looking for a job, but just recently landed a position through corporate CVS Health.
COVID made the job search easier and harder. Easier because so much of my normal life I couldn't really do anymore, so I had an abundance of free time.
She used that free time to ramp up her online job search.
Going through rounds of applications with other companies as well. A lot of the interviews that would have been in person were in Zoom.
Libby Dixon is also a senior, but her post-grad plans are unknown as she is still in the process of finding a job.
I've been applying to every single job that I'm qualified for.
She says the process is really stressful.
Some of these jobs I won't hear back about an interview until March, and I graduate in May, so it's kind of hard and nerve-wracking because I want to make sure that I'm, walking down the stage to get my diploma employed.
Libby says she used the Malone Center a lot during her job search.
They've helped me build my resume, they've helped me edit my LinkedIn, and I'm glad the Malone Center will be a tool for me that I can use even after my time at Furman. It's a really great resource.
Be so persistent but not be pushy. So ask for help, ask to learn more about their job rather than asking for a job. If you're a senior struggling to find a job, don't hesitate to check out the Malone Center to receive assistance in career exploration, resume and cover letter writing, graduate school applications, and your job search. Be sure to check out their upcoming events on their website. Furman University, located in Greenville, South Carolina, is one of the most beautiful college campuses in the United States. But this year, things look a little different in the upstate.
That's right, Hadley. People might say the campus looks different these days, so I decided to see what happened.
Being a student here myself, I know that I was not the only confused person on campus. We have noticed that there is something happening with the lake, the front of the library is under construction, and the iconic Furman Mall is demolished. I spoke with Mr. Rick Shosky, the Director of Facilities here at Furman University, about the construction we see on campus, and here is what he had to say.
We brought an arborist out, and he confirmed that, and he went through a series of tests and rated them based on the health of the tree, and we had lots and lots of zeros, which is like it's dead. And so just out of it's a safety concern. Obviously, they're massive trees. One branch is probably as big as just a tree.
The mall is not the only part of campus under renovation. The route to the library has changed this year as well.
That's going to be officially called the Joseph Vaughn Plaza. And what they did is just basically refurbish the entire patio, the front patio of the library, added a accessibility ramp in the lower end.
And finally, the lake is being dredged. And dredging is the removal of sediment from the bottom of the lake so that it does not unevenly fill different sections of the lake.
It's going to increase it's healthy for the lake. It increases the water quality will improve.
I spoke with senior Alexandra Warts regarding her thoughts on Furman's campus, and this is what she had to say.
The main one that comes to mind that's kind of upsetting is the mall, because it's such a staple for Furman. My dad went here, so I've been talking to him about it too. It's been really tough to see the trees go down from the mall.
However, freshman Max Scott offers a different perspective on the renovations on Furman campus.
Oh my God.
Thinking about coming here, I remember obviously lined big magnolia trees, really pretty. Always people taking pictures, and consensus is that it looks pretty bad.
Reporting live from Furman University, Anthony Zito, Nightly News.
Thanks, Anthony. I guess it is only fitting that these iconic trees came down during 2020. We've experienced what COVID has done to our learning environment, but it's also affected how we cheer on our Paladins.
Thanks, Hadley. Sports certainly looks different this season. The coronavirus has caused the sports world to look a little different this past year. The difference here at Furman, all 18 teams are competing this spring season.
That's right, Cole. This spring, history is being made here at Furman University. After a gameless fall, all 18 varsity athletic teams such as football, soccer, volleyball, tennis, track, lacrosse, and softball are set to compete for titles this season.
Our number one priority for this year, more than anything else, is just the health and safety of our students, of our coaches, of our staff, and of our community.
Athletic Director Jason Donnelly also mentioned that the department's values, integrity, and process have not changed, but the jobs and tasks of the sports medicine team and staff have.
They have so many more layers of responsibility that they didn't have before.
This includes COVID testing, constantly cleaning, and enforcing safety protocols onto players.
Following all the protocols and stuff has made us really excited to be back and celebrating our goals, and really excited to get that SoCon championship.
Donnelly emphasized to his staff the 3 Ps: patience, positivity, and persistence in order to achieve the common goal of completing a successful season. This is Kaylee Coleman with Nightly News. Cole?
With 2020 behind us, we still find many sports dealing with the ins and outs of COVID-19. However, there was an incredible amount of work done to make sure student athletes get a chance to continue their seasons this spring.
Almost 5 months have passed since the cancellation of fall sports at Furman University, but there is a hopeful light for this spring. Currently, the men's and women's basketball team are leading the way for Furman sports to happen this spring. When talking with Athletic Director Jason Donnelly, he tells me about how he will keep student athletes safe.
A lot of these regulations that have been developed, believe it or not, they've really started and originated with, sports medicine trainers. They've looked at the way that we interact on the field, the way that we engage with each other off campus, and they've given great advice and suggestions to the NCAA and to the different conferences that take place.
I then followed up about asking about false positives and false negatives. Briefly talk about for student athletes that do catch COVID. I know there's been some instances where there have been false positives. We've had a false positive on our team recently. And if a student athlete does have COVID, and let's say it does wipe out maybe 10 or 15 guys, for football being an example, if a running back catches COVID and it ends up wiping out their whole position group, what exactly will happen? What will be the repercussion for that?
There's going to be false positives. There's going to be things that happen along the way. What you don't want it to be is a false negative. You don't want to have someone that's sick and you don't know that they're sick. So you're actually better off knowing. One of the reasons that we're testing in such a high frequency at Furman is so that we have data and we've got information and we know what we're getting into and the whole setup around it. That's where our sports medicine staff's done a phenomenal job trying to teach everyone everything. We've learned along the way. We've learned, how do you operate with roommates? How do you operate at meals? How do you operate in team meetings? All those different things that take place.
NCAA has dictated their testing standard for high contact sports such as basketball and football. They will be tested at least 3 times a week. For intermediate contact sports, they will only be tested 72 hours before a contest. And for low contact sports, they will only be tested at least once due to them not having that much contact with other people.
For you, Cole, everyone, your health and safety is going to be so important because there's going to be a team that's going to lose games because of health and safety, either because of what they do or because what other opponents are going to do.
One thing about what the NCAA has done for this spring is make sure that every athlete will have a chance to participate and compete. Furman women's basketball team has faced a lot of adversity so far this season. Jaria Allen has a report.
Yeah, Cole, I know firsthand the adversity we had to face. From season-ending injuries like my torn ACL to playing in a pandemic.
We're playing in a pandemic is one, so they've not been able to be college students, especially for our freshmen who have no idea what college is really about. So that's a big adversity piece. And then we've had many injuries, and some are season-ending, some are just been long-term.
The injuries have not only physically hurt players, but have impacted the team in a moving way. Paraskevikia, who the team calls Vula, broke 2 bones in her leg.
Seeing my teammates crying for me, that was the most heartbreaking part because I just wanted to play for them and just be there for them, and I just had to leave the game and go to the hospital.
While the adversity in the team's record may appear gloomy, with a little help, the team continues to look on the bright side.
We've hired a mental health professional that works with our team that can talk about any issues with her that doesn't necessarily have to come through the coaching staff. Our team does a great job of encouraging each other and probably giving each other words of affirmation. The coaching staff, we have to be very cognizant of making sure that we are coaching with positive energy while still trying to, fix mistakes.
The adversity has fueled the team's high morale. I know for myself, since I can't be out there playing, I still enjoy being on the sidelines, coaching and encouraging my team.
Be sure to check out all of the upcoming home games the Furman Paladins have to offer this spring season. Softball will be playing at home against St. Francis Friday at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Men's basketball plays at home against Western Carolina Saturday at 2 p.m. Softball rounds out the weekend with a home game against East Carolina at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. All games will be televised on ESPN+. For more information on upcoming games, go to the Furman Athletics website. And that's all from sports this week. Hope to see you repping some Paladin pride. Hadley, back to you.
Thanks, Cole. I'll certainly be there. In other news, things got kind of exciting this past weekend when Furman had its first snow day, or should I say snow night of the year. We'll leave you with some highlights. I'm Hadley, and this is the Nightly News.